الله الرحمن الرحيم أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن علم الله أنكم كنتم تختانون أنفسكم فتاب عليكم وعفى عنكم فالآن باشروهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ولا تباشروهن وأنتم عاكفون في المساجد تلك حدود الله فلا تقربوها كذلك يبين الله آياته للناس لعلهم يتقون. Allowed to you on the night of fast is consorting with your women. They are a garment for you and you are a garment for them. Allah knows that you have been defrauding yourselves, so He has relented towards you and pardoned you. So now copulate with them and seek what Allah has ordained for you, and eat and drink until the white thread becomes manifest to you from the black thread of the dawn. Then complete the fast till nightfall, and do not copulate with them while you are retreating in masajid. These are the bounds set by Allah, so do not approach them. Thus Allah expounds His signs to mankind, perhaps they may fear Him. We are reading verse number 187 of Surah Baqarah. We did Tafsir of the first half of this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made halal approaching the wives during the nights of Ramadan after it was haram in the beginning. Allah said that approach your wives and seek that which Allah has written for you. We explained there that this means children. Try your best to have children. And we explained the hadith. One more hadith comes to mind. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, تَزَوَّجُوا الْوَدُودَ الْوَلُودَ فَإِنِّي مُكَاثِرٌ بِكُمُ الْأُمَمَ. Marry such women who are extremely loving and who produce lots of children, because I will boast through you over the other nations on the day of Qiyamah. मैं फखर करूंगा तुम्हारे जरिए दूसरी उम्मतों का. तो we can be a source of pride for our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and increase his ummah. It is a good thing to increase the ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So we should try our best, because Allah said, وَابْتَغُوا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Now we move on to the next half of the verse, wherein Allah says, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. And eat and drink until the white thread becomes manifest to you from the black thread of the dawn. The white thread and black thread refer to the brightness of the day, stroke of dawn, and the darkness of the night. And this means that we have permission to eat and drink up to the time of dawn during the nights of fasting. Some masail over here mentioned in Tafsir ibn Kathir. Number one, some Sahaba misunderstood this ayat, because in the beginning, Min al-Fajr was not revealed. Only the first part, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ. Eat and drink until the black thread is distinguished and separated, and you can see it clearly from the white thread. Now, what happened was their homes were small and dark, and even when there is light outside, the home will still be dark. Only when light has spread wide, then they would be able to differentiate between the white thread and black thread. This is black and this is white. Now that would be extremely late after Subh Sadiq. So they thought they could eat until then, so they kept on eating. One Sahabi, Adi ibn Hatim, says, I took 2 threads, black, one white, put them under my pillow, and I kept on eating until I could see the different colors of the black and white. Then I mentioned this to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he said, Innaka la'aridul qafa, inna bisadataka la'aridun. Your taqiyan pillow is very white. It covers the whole horizon. Okay. This is the white brightness, light, and the darkness of the horizon. So upon that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse, Min al-Fajr. Now, Min al-Fajr, Tafsir Nasafi says, it could be Min Tab'iziyya, it could be Bayaniya. Min Tab'iziyya means a little bit of light. A little bit of light. And that little bit of light is explained in the hadith that ليس الفجر المستطير إنما الفجر المستطير ليس الفجر هكذا وهكذا ولكن الفجر هكذا وهكذا. When the sun is some degrees below the horizon, it shoots up light like a torch. So the light of the sun goes up into the horizon, and then it spreads around the horizon. So this shooting of light in length is not Subh Sadiq. The spreading of it when it starts to go on the mountains and spreading on the horizon, and you can see it, that is the stroke of dawn. So that is Subh Sadiq. The first one is called Subh Kadhib. The second one is called Subh Sadiq. There are a few minutes in between this. This is why this degree ikhtilaf. Some say 18 degree, 15 degree, 12 degree. This table over here is the horizon. Sun is over here near the carpet. It's coming up and up and up. So some say when there is still 18 degrees from this tabletop to below, then that's sunrise. Sorry, Subh Sadiq. Others say when it rises up and it comes 15 degrees, then it's Subh Sadiq. Others say no, when it comes 12 degrees, then it's Subh Sadiq. So you will see the 18 degree calendar, Subh Sadiq is very early, about 1 hour before the normal 15 degree which we have on our timetables. So let's say if at the moment it's 3 o'clock, then in 18 degrees it will be 2 o'clock. And 12 degree will be very less. So it could be maybe 3:30. So this is how the variation is. I asked Mufti Tahir Sahab Ghaziabadi, कैसे कि डिग्री का क्या है? फरमाया मुझे भी ये डिग्री के समझ तो नहीं पड़ती है, लेकिन मुफ्ती निजामुद्दीन साहब of Darul Deoband, he had some knowledge of these Subh Sadiq and Falakiyat, and he used to say कि भाई just looking at degrees and just light appearing is not Subh Sadiq. The light spreading is Subh Sadiq. So when it spreads, that's when it's called classed as Subh Sadiq. So some people sometimes feel that light is out, that's it. No, it should spread on the horizon, then it will be classed as Subh Sadiq. So there is some variation in there. And the ulama, 18, 15, some ulama go towards that, others ulama this. So we say khayrul umuri awsatuha. Medium is better, 15 degrees alright. 15 degrees, our timetables are normally according to that. There are some ulama who practice on 18 degrees, and in summer they pray Fajr at 1:30. Is that tahqiq? Then he said they can practice on that. If someone wants to pray at that time, they can do so. In Leicester, most masajid pray at 1:30. So I was in Leicester with Sheikh Saifur Rahman Sahab, and they said, Fajr 1:30 mein ka nahi bhai. मैं तो 1:30 नहीं पढ़ूंगा, हम तो रोज 4:30 पढ़ते हैं, 4:30 वाली नमाज है कि नहीं कहीं. So they said that वो एक मस्जिद में है एक जगह पर, तो अब मैंने कहा कि ना हम जहाँ गए वहां हमने उसके हिसाब से 4:30 बजे पढ़ा। सॉरी, ग्लासगो में गया था, ग्लासगो yesterday Sunday. तो every masjid is 1:30. Only one masjid, the Barkas, Masjid Noor. Masjid Noor Barkas, it was 4:30. ऐसे हम तो मस्जिद नूर में जाने पड़ेंगे। तो मस्जिद नूर में तो अब उन्होंने मुसल्ले पे हमको खड़ा कर दिया, नमाज पढ़ा, 6 नंबर बयान करने खड़ा कर दिया। हम कर दिया, हमने 6 नमाज भी पढ़ा दी, 6 नंबर भी बयान कर दिए। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, अमीर साहब अल्लाह पाक जज़ाए खैर दे। तो some ulama pray at that time, or is there tahqiq? He said pray at that time. But what I normally say is if you go there, then you have to stick to it. So you can't just jump up and down here and there. कि रमजान में कभी 1:30 and कभी 2:30, कभी 1:30, कभी 2:30, नहीं, stick to it. तो उसी के ऊपर कायम रहना है। तो this is the limit of eating and drinking حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر. Then Ibn Kathir rahmatullah alayhi mentions over here that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed us to eat until Subh Sadiq, then it is mustahab to do sihri late. Don't do sihri early, do it as late as possible. And first of all, sihri in itself is mustahab, and delaying it is also mustahab. Sihri is mustahab because Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tasahharu fa inna fi as-suhuri barakah." Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. Do sihri because in the sihri food there is barakah. In another hadith of Sahih Muslim, he said, "Inna fasla ma baynana wa bayna siyamina wa siyami ahli kitab aqlatu as-suhur." The difference between our fast and the fast of the Ahle Kitab is eating suhoor. They don't eat suhoor, we do eat suhoor. That's the difference. In another hadith, he said, "As-suhoor aklatu barakatin, fala tad'uuhu, walau anna ahadakum tajarra'a jur'ata ma'in, fa inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna 'ala al-mutasahhirin." Rawahu Imam Ahmad and Abi Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu. Suhoor is barakati food. Don't leave it. Even if you were just to drink a glass of a sip of water, then do that. Sometimes you're late and you got up and sahri time finishing, but you just got enough to have a glass of water, just drink that glass of water. He said, because malaika pray for those who do suhoor. They make dua for you, they send Allah's rahmah on you when you're doing suhoor. This is one masla. Second masla is ta'khiru suhoor. In Sahihain, Anas ibn Malik narrates from Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu anhu, who says, "Tasahharna ma'a Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, thumma qumna ila as-salat." We did sihri with Huzur Akram sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then we stood up to go for salat. Anas says, I asked Zayd ibn Thabit, "Kam kana bayna al-adhan wa as-suhoor?" How much gap was there between adhan and suhoor? Meaning you finished suhoor, and azan was called out, what was the gap in between? And he said, "Qadru 50 ayatan." About the tilawat of 50 ayat. 50 ayat you can read in 5-10 minutes. Like Abasa wa Tawalla has 42 ayat. So 50 ayat, maybe 5-10 minutes. So just finish sihri, and very soon after that, azan took place. In another riwayat, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "La tazalu ummati bi khairin ما عجلوا الإفطار وأخروا السحور." My ummah will continue to remain on good as long as they do iftar quickly and they do suhoor late. So our deen is flexible. It says to us, do iftar quickly. Yahud used to delay their iftar an hour or two after Maghrib, and they then used to have suhoor. Our deen tells us that do iftar quickly and suhoor late, so your roza can be balanced and you can have something, you can be relaxed even in your roza as well. So this is one masala. Ibn Kathir rahmatullah alayhi narrates that some ulama dragged this onto Tulu'i Shams, and they said that roza starts from Tulu'i Shams because the day starts from sunrise. So you can eat until then. Ibn Kathir said this call is batil because it goes against the Nass Quran. Allah said here, وَكُلُوا وَشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. So Subh Sadiq is the beginning of Roza. A'mash used to say that you can eat until the stars disappear. Stars disappear after light spreads widely. Sun isfar takes place. So his madhab was you could eat until then. So that was his madhab, but it was against the call of Ayyimah Arba, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad, Imam Malik. They all say that Subh Sadiq is higher and the limit. However, I just mentioned this aqwal for the benefit of your knowledge that there are some aqwal like this. Then another mas'ala. Allah Pak has allowed eating, drinking, and also approaching the wife until Subh Sadiq. Which means if someone approached his wife just before Subh Sadiq and is yet to do ghusl, and he did not do ghusl until after Subh Sadiq, is his roza correct or not? Yes, his roza is correct. He can have ghusl afterwards. It will not affect the roza because the act was carried out before Subh Sadiq, and after that he does ghusl. It's allowed. There were some Sahaba who used to say his roza will not be right. Fadl ibn Abbas narrated this. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu used to say this. So they asked Salama and Aisha radiallahu anha, who both clarified that this is not correct because Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam sometimes would get up in the morning and he was in the state of janaba from jima, not from ihtilam, and he would do ghusl afterwards and then he would make niyat of fasting. So there's no harm in there. Salama also narrated this. So this is one mas'ala which they have said over here. After this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكُلُوا وَشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ ثُمَّ أَتِمُّوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. Then complete the fast until nightfall. Until nightfall means ghurub shams, sun setting. As soon as the sun sets, roza can be opened. In one riwayat, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam was traveling, and the Sahabi who was doing the khidmat of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was instructed by Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam to prepare iftar. Now the Sahabi said, Ya Rasulullah, there is still light. And he said, prepare it. He said, but there's still light. He said, prepare it. And then he said, there's still light. Nabi Sallallahu said, do what I'm telling you. It's time for iftar. إِذَا أَقْبَلَ اللَّيْلُ مِنْ هَاهُنَا وَأَدْبَرَ النَّهَارُ مِنْ هَاهُنَا فَقَدْ أَفْطَرَ الصَّائِمُ. That when the night proceeds from the east and the sun goes down and the day goes back, the day retreats from one side and night proceeds from the other side, then iftar takes place. So the darkness first appears in the west, and then in the east, on the east, Mashriq, and then in the west the sun goes down, and then darkness comes there. So as soon as the Hajibu Shams, the sun's round circle disappears from your eyes, your roza is finished. Even though there is light, because after sunset there is still light for some time. Many times Sahaba say Nabi Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to pray Maghrib Namaz straight after sunset. And we would pray Maghrib, then we would return our homes, and we would be practicing with our arrows and spears, and we could see where the arrow fell. That's how much light there was, even after praying Maghrib and the Sunnah and then going home. So iftar is as soon as the round circle of sun goes down. Now in Google, if you type sunset time, it will give you the time when the circle starts going down. But iftar is when the whole sun has disappeared. So there's a little bit of gap in there, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. This is why in our timetables there is this ihtiyati time, maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes after they declare the sunset. So in your iPhone, the sunset might be at, let's say, 9:05, but in reality it's 9:10. So you follow the timetable or leave 2 minutes, 3 minutes gap after the iPhone timing, because their sunset and our sunset is a little bit slight different. So the iftar is as soon as the sun goes down and the iftar takes place. Again, second masla is here is ta'jilul iftar, hastening with iftar. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Ahabbu ibadi ilayya a'jaluhum fitran. Akhrajahu Ahmad wa Tirmidhi. The most beloved of my bondsmen to me are those who do iftar quickly. So we should do iftar quickly. Roza is finished because there is tawadu and humility in there. If you delay your iftar and you do suhoor quickly, that means you're being a bit bold. I can do ibadat, I can do more, I can keep longer roza, I can stay hungry for more, thirsty for more. This is why we say, no, show some humility. Who are we? What is our worship? We are weak people. Allah told us to stay hungry, thirsty, we did. But as soon as Allah said you can open your fast, we immediately opened it. So this is humility and showing humbleness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Perhaps this is why iftar should be made quickly and suhoor should be delayed until just before sunset. You know, over here the latifa comes to mind. Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahmatullah. You know, he used to do iftar with a little bit ihtiyat after maybe 10-15 minutes, and he used to do sahri very early. So Hazrat Sheikh Maulana Zakaria Rahmatullah's father, Maulana Yahya Sahib, was a good friend of Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahmatullah. He went to Thana Bhavan in Ramzan, and Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi was very happy. So Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali, Hazrat Maulana Yahya Sahib asked him, Hazrat, iftar sahri ka kya maamul hai? What's your maamul? And he said, भाई मैं तो iftar वो वक्त हो जाए उसके बाद जरा एहतियात में 10 मिनट ठहर कर फिर करता हूँ. फरमाया नहीं, मैं तो जैसे ही सूरज, as soon as sun sets, I do my iftar. Hazrat said, no problem. Now at iftar time, the whole dastakhan was spread out, all different ni'mats, laziz, food, and you know, is there, sharbat and everywhere. As soon as iftar time took place, Maulana Yahya Sahib and his friends, his students, they started eating. Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, they sitting waiting, whatever. And then he said, "Bhai, chalo shuru karo. ये तो iftar का time होते तो खत्म हो जाएगा." कि भाई खाना, let's eat, otherwise everything is going to finish. So you also start eating. Then for Sahri time, Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahmatullah said, I do my Sahri at least 1 hour before Sahri time. Maulana Yahya Sahib said, but I do my Sahri in such a manner that throughout the whole day, I keep thinking, is my roza right or not? Is my roza sahi or not? Did I finish eating before time, or did I keep eating after time finished? Yeah, that's how I delay my suhoor. So Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi said, okay, I'll come down a little bit and you come up a little bit, we'll meet in the middle. So that's what they did. So this is their muhabbat and love for one another, consideration for one another. So iftar should be done as quickly as possible and suhoor as late as possible. Then there is one masla mentioned over here by Imam Ibn Kathir rahmatullahi about Sawm Wisal, joining rozas. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to do Sawm Wisal, meaning tomorrow is Wednesday, today is Tuesday. I fast today and I connect Wednesday with Tuesday. Meaning I don't eat anything after Maghrib and continue to remain hungry and thirsty throughout the night, even at Subh Sadiq, and I join Wednesday with Tuesday. And then the same, I don't eat anything on Wednesday or Wednesday night, and then join Thursday with Wednesday. This is called Sawm Wisal. It's very hard. Nobody can do that. But Nabi Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to do it. He used to do it. Some Sahaba tried to copy him. Huzur said, don't copy me in this. This is exclusively for him. But they still did. So he again said, don't do what I'm doing here, because inni abidu yut'imuni rabbi wa yasqini. I spend the night in such a manner that my Rabb gives me food to eat and drink to quench my thirst. Now what is this? Maybe this was some Ruhani khazana from Jannat. Jannat food, Jannat drink, and I wouldn't break the roza. Or number two, it is reference towards the nourishment that we need through food. Allah gives him automatically. That without eating and drinking, Allah gives him that energy and strength. Like let's say if you don't eat anything, but you are given injection of vitamin dose and you get that energy and power. So Allah Pak used to give him energy and power without eating and drinking. So Allah knows best what he meant by it, but he said, don't do so many Wisal, it's not for you. And one hadith said, if someone wants to do Wisal, then he said, La tuwasilu man kana yuridu an yuwasila falyuwasil ila as-sahar. If you want to, then do it until suhoor, but not later than that. Meaning, if you want to keep it a bit of night as well, chalo, you don't eat anything at Maghrib, but don't go later than suhoor. Eat at Sahri time. So sometimes some Mashayikh used to do that. At Iftar, they would just drink one small cup of green tea, and that's it. One khajur and one small cup of green tea, and that's their Iftar. And then in the morning at Sahri, they might eat one chapati or something little bit. Otherwise, this is their khora and food throughout the month of Ramadan. This Hazrat Shaykh has narrated this regarding Hazrat Shah Abdul Rahim Raipuri Rahmatullahi alayhi in Akabil ke Ramzan. That Hazrat used to eat next to nothing. So his Khadim Shah Abdul Qadir Raipuri Rahmatullahi alayhi said, Hazrat, बहुत कमजोरी हो रही है, कुछ तो खा लें. तो Hazrat used to eat just one khajur and one finjan of green tea. So when they said this, then Hazrat started eating one roti at Sahri time, and that was his daily khura. But they used to get the strength energy and said, Alhamdulillah, Jannat ka maza pa raha hu. I feel the maza and the lazzat of Jannah in that hunger and thirst. They didn't feel anything. So if someone did that in Ramadan, then that would be possible. However, after Ramadan, barabar khane ka, ताकि कहीं anorexia या ऐसा कोई बीमारी न हो जाए, अल्लाह बचाए, अल्लाह बचाए. फिर एक दफे if the maida goes dry, खुश्क हो जाता है, it shrinks, then you struggle to eat, you can't put anything. As soon as you eat something, you vomit it out. उसका भी इलाज करना पड़ता है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. Don't do that. तो ये तो अकाबिर थे, मुशाइख थे, मुजाहदा करते थे, उनकी ये था, it was for them, not for us. हमको तो खूब पेट भर के खाना है. Our husband used to say कि भाई ये चीज मुजाहदात वो for the अकाबिर. We are weak people. हमको बराबर दबा के खाने का. इफ्तारी में भी दबा के खाओ, सहरी में भी दबा के खाओ, अच्छी तरह खाओ और रोजे में ताकत, कुव्वत, एनर्जी. क्योंकि we are वैसे ही हम कमजोर हैं. We are weak as we are. We're not as strong mentally and physically as they were. So we have to eat properly. Anyhow, this is about Somi Wisal, which Hazrat Imam Ibn Kathir has mentioned over here. After this, Allah goes on to mention the hukm of Etikaf. وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. Do not copulate with them whilst you are retreating in masajid. Etikaf, Hazrat Maulana Iblis Qadri Rahmatullah writes that because in the previous verses Allah mentioned the permissibility of eating, drinking and sexual intercourse at night during the month of Ramadan, and now in the last 10 days you're going to do Etikaf, so someone might think that that is allowed in Etikaf as well, copulating with wife. So Allah Pak mentioned, no. In Etikaf you sit down, then you can eat and drink, but you cannot have sexual intercourse with the wives. Now, this, first of all, Etikaf. I'takafa, ya'takifu, i'tikafa. Etikaf is a huge worship, a great ibadah, very virtuous ibadah. Ibn Kathir Rahmatullah mentions Fazail of Etikaf, and he says Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to perform Etikaf with punctuality. In the last 10 days of Ramadan, since he arrived in Medina Sharif, for the 10 years, he was always in Etikaf if he was in Medina Sharif. Unless he was on Safar, that's another thing. But when he was in Medina Sharif, he was in Etikaf in the last 10 days. The year in which he died, year 10, year 11, the year before that, year 10 after Hijrah, he did Etikaf of 20 days, last 20 days of Ramadan. And on one instance, he did Etikaf of the full month. So even Etikaf of the full month is at least mustahab or sunnah. He did Etikaf by 10 days. So don't make niyat of the full month, make niyat of 10 days. So he did first 10 days, when the 10 days were about to finish, he did niyat of the second 10 days. When they were about to finish, some Sahaba who were with him in the Etikaf, they thought that we're going home now, they send their bistaras home in the morning. So he said that those who were in Etikaf with me should call for their weddings back and stay with me for the last 10 days. Because I did Etikaf in search of Laylatul Qadr. And I have been informed that Laylatul Qadr is in the last 10 days. So bring your weddings back and stay here in the masjid and stay in Etikaf in search of Laylatul Qadr. So this is one thing. He used to do Etikaf. Now, one hadith says Etikaf prevents a person from sins, and it keeps continuing and flowing for him the reward of all other good deeds, as though he is performing them like he was before sitting in Etikaf. For example, he was a carer, he used to care for the elders aged, and he used to do khidmat of parents, mabab, help some relatives, do some charitable work. He used to go in dawah work or jamaat or anything. Other good deeds which he used to perform, going in janaza, visiting the sick, etc. Now in Etikaf, he's not able to do that. So during Etikaf, all these sawab keep flowing for him. The fazilat of Etikaf. One riwayat says, Man i'takafa yawman في سبيل الله جعل الله بينه وبين النار ثلاث خنادق أبعد مما بين الخافقين. A 1 day's Etikaf distances you 3 trenches from Jahannam. 3 trenches. And every trench is as wide as the gap between the east and west. So that's how much you will be distant from Jahannam by 1 day's Etikaf. 1 day's Etikaf. Etikaf is from Maghrib to Maghrib. We have our spiritual retreat coming, inshallah, on the 4th, 5th of this month, August, first weekend of August. If you want to come down, but you have to register with your name, and you can come down and stay in the masjid for Etikaf, inshallah. So, 1 day's Etikaf. 10 days last Ashura Etikaf, there is one riwayat which says, if a person performs last Ashura's Etikaf in Ramadan, he will get thawab of 2 Hajj and 2 Umrah. This is for last Ashura. Try and do Etikaf. Our Mashayikh were very fortunate who used to be in Etikaf, all the time in the last 10 days. In fact, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah throughout his whole life, whole month in Etikaf. Ramzan ka pehla chand dekha, Hazrat Etikaf mein until each chand. And this is why Shaykh Yunus Sahib said, our Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullah never missed Laylatul Qadr throughout his life. Because he was always in Etikaf in the last Ashura, in odd nights and even nights. How can he miss the Laylatul Qadr? So, Etikaf is in search of Laylatul Qadr. It's such a great and virtuous ibadah. Tafsir Anwarul Bayan states that Etikaf is for search of Laylatul Qadr, and Laylatul Qadr is better than 1,000 months. And 1,000 months means 83 years and 4 months. So if we sacrifice 10 days and nights for the sake of Allah in order to gain Laylatul Qadr and these 83 years ibadat sawab, in fact more than that, Allah knows how much more, then this is a small sacrifice. we should try and make this sacrifice, take time out and sit in Etikaf during the last 10 days. This is about Etikaf. Then, if you sit in Etikaf, you have to remember, La i'tikafa illa bisawm. Etikaf should be with roza. So you have to keep roza if you sit in Etikaf for 24 hours, Maghrib to Maghrib, one day. You must keep roza. Without roza, no Etikaf. And this is when you're doing Etikaf outside Ramzan. In Ramzan, you're going to be keeping roza anyway. But outside Ramzan, if you want to do Etikaf, you must keep roza as well. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. One point to note over here, Hazrat Maulana Idris Khanalvi Rahmatullah writes that masajid is plural of masjid, which means Etikaf can be done in any masjid throughout the whole world. Some people say Etikaf can only be done in Masjid Medina because Huzur did Etikaf there. Others say only in Masjid Haram because Allah said there, لِلطَّائِفِينَ وَالْعَاكِفِينَ وَالرُّكَّعِ السُّجُودِ. So Makkah and Medina are the only two places where you can do Etikaf. This is wrong assumption. My dear brothers, we should follow the research of the A'immah. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad all say that you can perform Etikaf in any masjid throughout the whole world. The condition is it should be a masjid, a place of worship. Now, if it is Jami Masjid, it's better. Otherwise, any masjid, any place where 5 times Salat takes place, you can do Etikaf in there. And some people say Ibadat Khana Musalla mein nahi. भाई ये मुसल्ला वो जो जहाँ रेगुलर जैसे एयरपोर्ट पर इबादत खाना है, ऐसी जगह पर एतिकाफ नहीं करने का. Where you could be moved here and there or station or something, but where there is 5 times ibadat, everybody comes, you can't do etikaf in there. That's fatwa from Midori town and Darul Ni'man, that any place which is classed as a masjid, even if it's only a musalla. In England, most places are musallas. Your bunyadi masjid are only a few. So you don't need to have bunyadi masjid for etikaf. Any masjid which is classed as a masjid, taken as a masjid, 5 times namaz takes place, you can do etikaf there. So fil masajid, in masajid, wherever there is masjid, you can do etikaf in there. This is one masala. And then وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. During etikaf, one is not allowed to have sexual intercourse with the wife. Now, if he does, he will either have this intercourse inside the masjid, which is haram, or outside the masjid when he goes for pishab, pakhana, istinja, or eating, drinking. Then he can't stay outside for longer than necessity. So this is why during the etikaf you cannot approach the wives. And this includes touching, hugging, kissing, any lustful, desirable act. Touching without any desire is permissible, especially when the husband is inside the masjid, wife is outside the masjid. Like Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha's house was adjacent to the masjid. Nabi Pak sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's hujra and his etikaf screen, partition, portable partition, was near his hujra. So sometimes he would be lying down and he would say to Aisha, massage my head. So Aisha would wash his head and massage, apply oil to it. This is allowed. This is okay, there's no harm in there. But what is not allowed is either having sexual intercourse or hugging, kissing, or any other lustful act. If someone does this, this will nullify the etikaf. The etikaf will be broken. So this is La tubashiruhunna wa antum aakifuna fil masajid. During etikaf, the wife can come to visit the husband as well. And there are times it's not namaz time, in the morning or late afternoon, masjid is empty and he's alone in etikaf. She can come and sit and visit and talk. There is hadith in Sahih Bukhari that Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in etikaf. Hazrat Safiya radiallahu anha came to meet Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He sat with her, he talked to her, and then when he finished and she stood up to go, so he went with her to the door of the masjid to see her off. And there were two Sahaba who were going past, and they quickly rushed ahead. So Nabi Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Ala rislikuma, take it easy. It's only my wife Safiya. And they said, Ya Rasulullah, we could doubt someone else, but not you. And he said, Why in the shaitan yajri min ibn Adam majra dam, fakhashidu an yaghdifa fi qulubikuma shay'an. Shaitan runs in the body of man like the flowing of blood. I was scared that he might cast something in your heart. Dekha, Allahu Akbar. It's Allah's Nabi and they are Sahaba. They don't know nothing bad about him. But Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam cleared his name instantly by saying that this is my wife, don't think anything bad. And if they did think anything bad, the Iman would go, because this would be accusation on Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he protected their Iman. This teaches us that we should also protect our honor and our izzat. If there is something attacking us, someone degrading us, we should clarify things. But it's not like that. And tuhmat and suspicion, accusations should be corrected instantly. This is what we learn from that hadith. So this is وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. Then Allah said, تِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَقْرَبُوهَا. These are the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bounds of Allah. You know, everybody has some limits. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also set some limits. The various injunctions which are stipulated with regards to fasting, the concession granted to the ill and the traveler, the beginning and ending times of fasting, the prohibition of the person in Etikaf to cohabit with wife. All these are limitations set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not approach these limits, let alone violating them. Do not approach them, because if you approach them, you might break them. So do not break these limits which are set by Allah. Do not exceed them. For example, Sahri, you delay it even after Subh Sadiq, or Iftar, you bring it before sunset. This is breaking the limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, if you swallow something during the fast, similarly, even gargling and cleaning the nostrils in Roza, Allah Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, don't do it heavily, because there is risk of water going down the throat or up the nostrils. So in Roza time, when you do wudu, you have to gargle softly and you have to clean your nose softly. Don't do it hardly. Miswak you can use, but other substances you are not allowed to use toothbrush, toothpaste, because toothpaste, there is risk of something going down the throat, so it's makruh to use that. So these are limits set by Allah, not by anyone else. So abide by that limits. تِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَقْرَبُوهَا كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ آيَاتِهِ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَّقُونَ. In this manner, Allah explains things to people. Perhaps they may attain piety, fear of Allah. When you stick to the limits set by Allah, you stay within that framework, then you will gain taqwa. If you do manmani, whatever you feel like, whatever you do, whatever you feel like doing, then that is not abiding by Allah's instructions and the limits set by Allah. As the Shaykh Sayyid Rahman was mentioning the other day about mushtabihat, avoid shubuhat as well, doubtful things as well. Because if you go near haram things, then you will fall into haram. So if you go in shubuhat, then you are nearly on the border fence of haram. So you will slowly by doing the shubuhat and doubtful things and taking doubtful money and doubtful food, you will fall into haram food as well. So don't go near the shubuhat, otherwise you will fall into haram as well. This is what Hazrat Maulana was explaining the other day. And Hazrat Maulana said that if you avoid shak, shubha and doubtful things, and eat halal. Hazrat Maulana said, the eyes of your hearts will open up and you will get kashf. Things will open up before you. Allah will expose them to you, the reality of things. This is called kashf. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is connected to eating halal, earning halal, consuming halal, halal food, halal chicken, halal meat. Hazrat Maulana during this summer he never ate ghost or chicken. He said, हमने गोश्त और चिकन छोड़ दी है. जब से हमको पता चला कि वहाँ सऊदी में सब गड़बड़ सड़बड़ है, मरी हुई चिकन को जबा करते हैं, तो मैंने चिकन खाना छोड़ दिया unless मैं खुद जाकर अपने हाथ से जबा करूं. I go to some place, I buy my own chicken, I slaughter it with my own hands, then I eat that chicken. Otherwise, I don't eat chicken of some farm or some shops or somewhere because बहुत गड़बड़ है उसमें. You see, he's living in Makkah and he's doing it. And here we are asking, can I eat McDonald's? Can I eat KFC? Can I eat Burger King? सब हलाल कर रहे हैं वहाँ. तो ये अल्लाह के बंदो, if you go there, be careful, भाई, be careful और एहतियात करो. हलाल का है भाई, वो मैकडॉनल्ड मक्का में है लेकिन वो चिकन मक्का की थोड़ी है, वो चिकन तो ब्राजील की है. तो तुम ये क्यों कहते हो कि भाई हम तो मक्का में है तो मक्का में सब हलाल होगा? Because already Makkah doesn't mean everything in Makkah is halal. There can be haram stuff there as well. So you have to be careful. And this is why Allah said, these limits are set by Allah. Stay within the limits. Don't approach doubtful things. Otherwise you'll exceed the limits and fall into haram things as well. And فَلَا تَقْرَبُوهَا كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ آيَاتِهِ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَّقُونَ. Allah explains these things to you so that you become muttaqi, parhezgar. But I think we'll stop over here, and from وَلَا تَقُولُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ we'll read next week, inshallah. In Tafsir Anwar al-Bayan, there is detail about, rosas. Allah Pak said, فَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. During this, Allah said, if you do a charitable act, it's good for you. So Hazrat mentions all those rosas which are nawafil. And just go over the list of them. Discussion on nafil rosas, nafil fast. The 6 fasts after Eid. Fasting every Monday and Thursday. Fasting ayyamul bees, the days in which the moon is full and the night is bright. So on those days, 13, 14, 15 of the lunar calendar month. Fasting of Ashura. This is what I wanted to say. Ashura is on Friday, 28th, the 10th of Muharram. 1 day's rosa brings forgiveness of 1 whole year's sins. صيام يوم عاشوراء أحتسب على الله أن يكفر السنة التي قبله. And if you can fast the day before, it is more virtuous. Better to keep it 2, Thursday and Friday, 9th Muharram and 10th Muharram. If you're working on Thursday and unable to keep it, then keep it on Saturday, the 11th, 10th and 11th, Friday and Saturday. These 2 do 2. If you can keep 3, that's all the more virtuous. Okay, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday if possible. Otherwise, Thursday, Friday. Otherwise, even Friday will do as well. But it's better to make 2 rosas. Mustahab. Ibn al-Humam said it's mustahab to keep 2 rosas. In fact, Ibn al-Humam said, as I narrated here, that it's makruh to keep just 1 rosa. Because that is tashabbu bil Yahud. Yahud keep only 1 rosa on Ashura. So it would be mustahab, most desirable to keep 2, 9th and 10th. And this is about Ashura's rosa and the virtue of keeping Ashura. In the beginning, Ashura was an obligation for us. But when Ramzan came, Ashura was cancelled and Ramzan's farzi came. So Ashura remained mustahab. Then fasting during the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. 5 days when fasting is prohibited. Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, and the 3 days that follow Eid al-Adha, Ayyam al-Tashriq, 10, 11, 12, and 13th of Dhul Hijjah, and Eid al-Fitr, 1st of Shawwal. These are 5 days in which keeping roza is haram, is not allowed. You can't keep roza in these days. These Ayyam, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha are days of festival, celebration. So eat, drink, celebrate. And the 3 days after Eid al-Adha, they are days of eating qurbani meat. eat lots of qurbani meat, enjoy yourself. This is why these 5 days you can't keep roza. Then keeping roza every day is not praiseworthy act because it becomes a habit, not an ibadah. And the best roza is alternate roza. One day is roza, one day iftar, one day roza, one day iftar. Hadith said this was the roza of Dawud alayhi salatu wasalam. He used to keep roza like that. So these are some masail mentioned by Mufti Sahab over here in Anwar. Yeah? We'll continue from Wala Taqulu, inshallah, next week. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. محض अपने फजल व करम से हम सब की मग़फ़िरत फरमा दीजिए. हमारे उठना बैठना कहना सुनना पढ़ना पढ़ाना कबूल फरमा दीजिए. हम पर रहम कर दीजिए. हमें रोजे रखने की भी तौफीक अता फरमाइए और आपने जो लिमिट और हुदूद फिक्स की है उनके अंदर रहने की तौफीक अता फरमाइए. लिमिट से बाहर निकलने से हमारी हिफाजत फरमाइए. हलाल हराम की तमीज़ नसीब फरमाइए. शुकूक शुबहात से हिफाजत फरमाइए. रब्बना तक़ब्बल मिन्ना इन्नका अंतस समीउल अलीम व तुब अलैना इन्नका अंतत तव्वाबुर रहीम. सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व आलिहि व सहाबिहि अजमईन.